All right, everyone, welcome. This is episode 4 of TECHnicality. I am your host, Joanne Yao, with my co-host, Jordan Boyd. How are you today?
I'm good. We are in the midst of launching our app, so
I know, it's a very exciting time.
yeah, our lives are a little bit gong showy right now, but you know what? That's all part of the fun, and I'm enjoying it. So yeah, that's pretty much my life right now. What about you? I know you've been busy as well. Some late nights at the office.
Yes, yeah. And thank you for checking up on me to making sure I'm not like dead in a ditch somewhere or just collapsed in my office, because there have been a couple late nights, and it's been quite uneventful for me because of those late nights until last Friday night. Then things got all exciting. You joined me for your first ever Chinese New Year banquet hosted by the Hong Kong Canada Business Association. So tell me, your first experience, how was it?
I thought it was super fun.
Yeah.
I love food. So the fact that there was a 10-course dinner, I was not mad about. Let's just say that.
Right.
There was some free champagne and wine.
Yeah.
Dangerous combo.
And yet we dabbled with danger.
We were, I was pretty
Happy?
tired the next day.
Oh, of course.
And there's a really fun silent auction, and overall I would rate it 5 stars, highly recommend.
Now, I think you are still hiding the ball in a detail relating to that silent auction. So let me just say, there were a lot of big ticket items. I've bid, but evidently the strategy is not to bid early. So I learned that, actually I learned it last year and the year before that and the year before that at the same banquet, but I still can't seem to seal the deal. You, however...
I got lucky on a backpack, a Brooks Brothers backpack that,
gorgeous.
I have a theory that adults shouldn't have backpacks because I just think it's offensive to the eye. And, but I saw this backpack and I thought, I could see an adult using that backpack. It's one of the first backpacks I've ever seen where I thought an adult would have that backpack. Every other backpack is either a child's backpack. Now, if you're camping, I understand that you're an adult and you have a backpack.
Sure.
If you're like an office building professional, and you're coming to work with a backpack, no, just stop.
But I do have to say, backpack doesn't even do what you won justice. I mean, there's got to be a word for it that's not backpack, because I love backpacks, and that's
I almost
want
to call it a brief pack, a briefcase backpack.
You should get a trademark lawyer to help you protect that.
Hire you after this episode to trademark that for me.
Oh, right now I'll get them to print off the document. You can sign it, right?
Well, and you were busy recently doing another little podcast with your law firm that I edited. Yeah. And you still have not watched. But anyways, we won't bring that part up. Anyways.
Well, I do want to thank you for that, for coming out, and the pilots that we wanted to make, the brief 5-minuters we wanted to do 3 and then just ended up we did 2.
Yeah.
But I am excited to do a podcast reveal, and hopefully our law firm can integrate that with our marketing strategies.
Heck yeah.
Yes. So, and it's inspired by this TECHnicality podcast. So again, I have you to thank for setting a really good precedent.
I just thought of another thing. We have a guest. Our first guest is booked for
March 11th?
Sometime in March 11th.
Right.
And her name is Dr. Miriam Burchuk. She is a very, very brilliant doctor who does a lot of research into, or knows a lot about, I shouldn't speak to research, but knows a lot about nutrition and preventative health, she calls it, right? Where you're kind of eating the right stuff, and that leads to less bloat in our healthcare system, and et cetera, et cetera. So she is going to be our first ever live guest. So I'm pretty excited about that too.
Well, preventing bloat in the body and bloat in the healthcare system.
It's a double-edged
a 1-2 punch.
So what are we talking about today? What's going on? What's happening?
Whoa. I still have stuff I want to talk about. I told you my week started very eventful on Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Simmer down now.
Okay.
So, as you know, I do love my brand names as well, which is why I was very excited about the Brooks Brothers brief pack.
Brief pack.
Yes. So, as you know, I lived in Florida for 15 years. It's where I went to law school. I
Yeah.
practiced there for over a decade, doing primarily, trademark work. So lo and behold, I was contacted by Action News Jacksonville in Florida to talk about a trademark infringement claim that Michael Kors has brought on a woman local to there. And the question was, I have a series of pop quizzes for you today, but this will be
Awesome.
pop quiz number 1. So if a business wants to take a known brand and flip it upside down and put it on a product that competes with the original brand, do you think the act of flipping it upside down is enough to establish a new trademark or a new brand?
I'm going to go with hell no on that one.
You would be right. Yes, so under U.S. trademark laws and even Canadian trademark laws, the standard is that a trademark cannot be confusingly similar with an existing trademark. Otherwise, infringement. So I got to talk a little bit about that, which was very exciting because I'd love for Michael Kors to hear that and know that I am rooting for the protection of those brands.
Yeah.
And I've also been invited to speak at the Canadian Cannabis Summit, which is going to be in Calgary,
Yes.
May 30th through June 1st, the largest cannabis summit in Western Canada. I'm talking not just about the traditional cannabis law stuff like commercial leases or employment issues or zero tolerance stuff. I'm talking about things that are tech related, things like e-commerce, privacy, data collection, all those kinds of things. So I'm really excited to be able to talk about
I might
that.
just come and watch you do that.
You will have to come and watch because we will need to make that and your thoughts and your review as Technicality episode, what would that be, like 15, 20?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So we'll get your take on that.
It's exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you very
I'm
much.
proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to parlay the last current event into our topic today. Today, happy anti-bullying day today.
Oh, thank you. Happy anti-bullying to you as well.
Thank you. I saw lots of kids when I was dropping off my daughter to school today. They were all in their pink shirts.
Pink Shirt Day. Yeah,
Yes.
is that an Airdrie thing or is that a Calgary thing too? I feel like it's an
Evidently,
Airdrie thing.
when I looked into it, evidently it's a Canadian thing
Oh.
that has gone not only nationwide but all across the globe.
Wow.
Yes. So I'm really happy to see that initiative and all the kiddies in there. They're pink, boys and girls alike,
Yeah.
which is wonderful. And that parlays into our first main segment of the day that I know is a topic near and dear to you since you work a lot with children, ill children, and mental health issues are something that are always on the forefront of your mind. So what can we get into? What are the new and current events in children's mental health and social media?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm definitely a big child advocate. I don't know why. I think I started when I was younger. I was a day camp counselor for the Southland Leisure Center in Calgary, working for the city of Calgary. And I don't know, I've always loved like leadership and just working with people. And I think with kids, right, they're going through all these different stages of development. And so to be a part of that in some way, even if it's small, I think is so exciting. So yeah, I did that, and then now I volunteer at the Children's Hospital. I volunteer on a rehab center for youth, marketing council, and I've got a couple other things in the works. But I saw this article from the Pew Research Institute, and basically what they said was about 96% of youth, this was a study done in the US from a pretty big sample size, like 5,000 or 6,000 youth between the ages of 13 and 17. 96% of them are concerned about their peers' mental health, basically.
Okay,
As in
so
they're concerned about it.
the subjects are these kids and
Yeah.
they're talking about their peers, or the
Exactly.
subjects are the peers?
The subjects are them talking about their peers. Yeah. So the question was,
Okay.
how worried are you about your peers and this? For example, bullying or et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Bullying, I think, was the second biggest worry for them about their peers, but mental health was the first one: anxiety, depression, et cetera.
Okay.
And so a lot of people started to kind of speculate, how much of this relates to social media. And I've been a huge advocate for a while of helping young people understand their data, right? We've talked about like data literacy,
Yes.
huge issue. A lot of people don't even know how much data is being collected, let alone how they're using the data to target them with ads and whatnot. So it's kind of crazy. But I've also worked with parents and church groups, like big mega church groups, on educating parents on sort of the risks or the signs to watch for with youth mental health around social media.
Yeah.
And I think the root of the problem is, and most people know this who've thought about social media and its effect on society, the root of the problem is people put stuff on their social media feed that they want people to see typically, right? Maybe with some of their friends, they're doing like really like ugly faces and like goofy stuff and it's whatever. But when was the last time you saw someone doing that on Instagram or or on Facebook, right? It's usually they're on this beautiful beach and the beautiful sunset in the background, or they're at the ice cream place and they're like posing, or they're at the gym and they look totally shredded. But you never see the other side of people's lives, right? You only see this version that they're projecting onto the social media sites. And I think, in my experience, that has been the fundamental issue of why so many people get depressed about that stuff. They think, oh, my life compared to this girl's life or this guy's life is a joke. You know, I never get to travel. I'm never happy like this person. And what they don't realize is a lot of those people aren't happy. A lot of people that are projecting like, oh my gosh, my life's so amazing. Whose life is so amazing? You know what I mean? Like, there's not that many people that have a perfect life and everything's going swell for them, right? Mm-hmm. Social media creates this aesthetic that everything's cool, everyone's happy, everyone's just like crushing it and loving their life, and that's like not the case. And so I think obviously there's an element of commenting and shaming people with photos and different things. I think that's a whole other side of it.
Right.
But I think a large majority of it is this FOMO, this fear of missing out, and this sort of anxiety around like, I have to capture everything from my social media feed. So my theory is, I'm speculating too, I wonder how much of that is related to this massive onset of social media.
Right, and it's interesting that you say that too, because even when people are trying to project that perfect image, particularly in that age group that you're talking about, when they're taking selfies, it takes them like 6 or 7 tries to get just the one that they want. So even the process of projecting perfection takes take 2, take 3, take 4, and I think also that's something that they inherently know, that I can't put that one up because it's not quite perfect. I can't put the next one up, and then they decide between the 5th shot and the 6th shot, and then they add the filters, and then they add whatever effect they want. So it is practically a production for each one of these posts to go up. And I can presume also that that's exhausting to keep up with.
I think there's anxiety around keeping up. That's what I mean about the FOMO. I think there's an anxiety for young people and people of all ages, not just young people, but there's an anxiety around keeping up. Oh, why didn't you like my post? Joanne, didn't you see my post about my new puppy? Like, there's an anxiety around like, you didn't engage with my post, and it's similar with texting, right? When you don't text back right away and people are like, hello, and you're like, it's been an hour, like, you know? I think the same thing around social media is like, and I find that a lot, that I'll miss moments with friends and they'll go, oh, didn't you see it on name a network? And I would say, oh no, I don't. Oddly enough, I don't use social media in the way that most people use it. I use it in a business context. Right. Most people use it in a personal context, and which allows me to use it in the business context. Yeah. My theory around this is like, look, social media isn't going to stop. It's not going to lose steam. They're not going to close down. No one's going to stop Facebook. They can slander Facebook all day long. It's never going to stop. They have too many people, too much money, too many brilliant people working for them for it to stop. My theory is just educate people, similar to data, educate people on the fact that people's lives on these things are not a real depiction of who they are. There's other stuff behind the surface. Don't just look at the surface and don't just settle for the surface. Know that there's other stuff going on in these people's lives that probably isn't great, maybe doesn't belong on social media, but just because someone's putting on that facade of super happy does not mean they are. And I've had people that I know, and I don't know their entire backstories, but I know people that are young, that are 21, 22, 23, committing suicide. And I would say there's another stat that there's a massive increase in young teen girl suicides in the US, and it's jumped by about 50% over the last year. Now, there's not a ton of those suicides in comparison to other age groups, but it's a scary stat to think about that there's that much of an increase in these teen suicides. And again, I've been personally aware of people I know who've done that. And it's, I think, because of anxiety or depression around. Again, I'm not saying that you blame social media for it. I think you blame people's ability to detect bullshit or to be able to think critically about a scenario, right? Like, obviously someone isn't happy so much that everything they do in their life is like, that's just not everyone knows that.
Right.
But that's what celebrities put off too. Celebrities post these gorgeous photos, beautiful people, they're happy all the time. They're never showing the lawyers they're sitting down with after they're being sued. They never show.
But they should.
They never show any of that, right? So that's my theory on the whole thing. It scares me. I think it's a big issue. I think more people need to, take awareness of it.
Right.
I don't know, especially if they have kids, right?
Absolutely. And I mean, first I want to say that, some of the stats you talked about, and we discussed this, pre-production, about these kinds of statistics, and I was curious as to whether there's any Canadian context. And interestingly enough, I found a TED Talk by Bailey Parnell, and she's based out of Toronto, I believe, and she had some pretty interesting and relevant Canadian context. But, and it shouldn't come as any surprise that this is not just an American phenomenon. No. This is worldwide. This is in Canada. She talked about her own personal experiences with unplugging and taking a 4-day vacation in Jasper, just being in the dark as far as unplugging from social media. And she was talking about her master's degree pursuit, which I believe this video was in 2017, so very likely she's earned that degree by now. Hopefully, Bailey, if you're out there, I'm rooting for you if you haven't gotten that degree yet. Because this TED Talk was also very good. She talked about the top 3 diagnoses on university campuses, and I want to talk a little bit about that. I'm grabbing a screenshot from her TED Talk. And the age group that you talked about was primarily teenagers, but her focus group for her master's study was the university-aged group. I think it was 17 to 24. And by and large, people are not outgrowing this problem. It's not a teenage related issue, because she's seeing that the top 3 diagnoses for mental health issues on campus is anxiety, depression, and stress.
Makes sense.
Now, of course, kids in university, they've got a lot of things going on. It's not just social media that's demanding on them that would have these issues attributed to just social media. But she does talk about how this anxiety and this depression and stress has it seems to have escalated since social media has been part of everyone's everyday lives. And I mean, from a legal standpoint, and of course I'm doing my own master's right now in internet law, one of the things we talked about as far as social media goes is the age of consent, or not the age of consent, I'm sorry, the age to participate in social media, which is 13 years old. Okay, and what do we know about a 13-year-old's maturity level, ability to discern right from wrong, their judgment? I mean, the fact that I've read some studies that the human brain isn't even fully developed as far as maturity and emotion growth until age 25. So, as far as your experience with social media in the business realm, I mean, are you seeing also that businesses exhibit perhaps some 13-year-olds mentalities as far as being, as far as to making decisions really quickly, knee-jerk reactions, and how do you take those very, I guess, instinctive reactions to social media and take a more mature business-like spin to it? Do you have any advice in that regard?
I mean, there's a couple things that I would say about that. So one is like, I think a 13-year-old in today's world is a hell of a lot different than a 13-year-old when you were 13.
Yeah.
Think about that. And when I was 13, I would say it's potentially not unreasonable that a 13-year-old will be using social media at this point because of technology, because of the internet, because of how they grow up in a digital way where they're using an iPad from the time they're a baby, basically, right?
Yeah.
They're aware of stuff more than we are or were. So I would say I take issue a little bit with that. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that 13-year-olds are using it. University campuses, I think that's largely based on the way that school's set up. And I think I take issue with that quite a bit. I don't think I would say, according to friends I have that are at university right now, it's very little about social media causing them anxiety. It's very much about the school itself. My friend told me the other day that Reading Week is designed to reduce the suicide rate at universities. So yeah,
Really?
supposedly that's like a legitimate. I was like skeptical, right? I was like, that is supposedly a legitimate reason why they do that. It has shown through studies to reduce the suicide rates by giving them a break. That has nothing to do with social media, right? But to your other point about turning offline, I would say that's a good determiner. And by the way, if you have a newer-ish iPhone,
Yeah.
they have this great new internal app built into the iPhone called Screen Time. I'm sure there's apps that do this if your phone's not new enough. It's a free thing that's built into the phone now.
Yeah.
You can actually monitor your screen time. Apple's one of the leaders in reducing people's addiction, or I don't say that, that's a claim. They're I would say at the forefront of being aware of how technology can have a negative effect if you're addicted to it. So what it does is it breaks down your screen time by which app, and it shows you how many times you picked up your phone per day. That type of awareness is helpful because you start to see, I picked up my phone 500 times today.
Right.
That's a lot of times, right? So what I would say about social media, if you can't shut it off for, let's say, 4 to 7 days straight, where you do not look at it at all, you should consider talking to someone about that. I really believe that, a professional who can give you health advice. I think if you can't do that, you probably do have an addiction to it, just like you have an addiction for anything else in the world. Alcohol, sex, whatever the case may be. I think social media can be addicting. We've talked about that. There's a lot of dopamine type buttons involved.
Positive feedback of the dopamine when you get the like, when you get, right? Absolutely.
You get a like, you get a comment, that is a reward. Your natural instinct is to crave that more, right? So it's a really obvious loop of how they're doing that, but that's what I would say on those. I would say, and then from a business perspective, I mean, I don't know, people are gonna be mature, immature, not. I think obviously on social media, taking the mature approach and not stooping to people's levels if they try to go low on you or your business, right? Usually it's the business, people try to attack your business. You just take the high road. Always try to take things offline. That's like the number one thing you can do on social media. If you have an issue with people, take it offline. Ask them for their number, because really, if someone really wants to resolve something, right, they're going to take it offline, right? If they don't want to resolve it, well, why would they call you, right? Why would they have a conversation like a normal person about it, right?
Right.
If they're not willing to call you and deal with it, people can see that from the response you've provided. Let's say it's a review. You can say, hey, we reached out, we didn't hear back from you, but we're always willing to hear you out if you give us a call.
Yeah.
So you kind of call them out, right? And then people see publicly that person wasn't willing to go to bat for it. So that's my little 2 cents on it.
No, I agree with that as well, because as a lawyer, you may know that I see a few disputes that appear online, and there are a lot of ways to address those kinds of disputes. And I think actually you and I had initially met. Yeah. At when I was talking about how to litigate online and social media disputes. And even though it's not the legal route, it's probably the most cost-effective and psychologically and socially the most effective way to resolve that dispute is just to, number one, be very mindful of what people are saying about you online. and address the reviews. If they're good, thank people for reviews. If it's negative, like you said, just call them out, offer to help, offer to reach out. And I think by and large, other people who look at those reviews and see whether there's disputes, whether there's attacks, whether it's good reviews or bad reviews, they understand that if you've taken a proactive approach to resolve a dispute, but the other party refused to engage, I think that's very telling as well as far as the quality of the goods and services and the customer service base.
Totally.
So,
and if you get crazy people, by the way, because there's a lot of crazy people, right? The internet allows us to see the craziest people because it's like anyone can be on it, right? If you get super crazy people, you can ban them from your page. It's not that hard. So if someone's just blatantly slandering your business, Facebook just introduced a way now where you can say, this review is, I'm flagging this review, and they say why. You can actually say because it's not useful and it's not relevant to the business. So if someone just comes on and says, this place is crap because it's blah, 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 and it has nothing to do, like it's a personal dispute or something with the owner, you can actually have that taken down. And my recommendation is always ban the people from the page.
right.
They can still use Facebook, they can still use all these things, but why would you allow people to slander your business? I don't think you should ever. And if it's super easy to ban people, it's better to just ban them.
And if we think about, too, these disputes are really not a social media problem. It's a problem with the way people address others, the way people interact. They're just using social media or the internet as the avenue to express themselves negatively. And what you're saying also brings to mind a point. There was a story I saw recently about a server, and she was serving a gentleman, and when it came time for him to resolve his bill, his check, instead of just not leaving a tip or whatever, he had to write a hateful message to her saying, "I don't tip fags," period, and he left. He didn't even have the bravery to say something, or even just have the class just to not tip. So she took the story to social media and said, "Listen, this is my story. This is what happened. Sir, you didn't ruin my day. I took it, it hurt my feelings for 15 minutes. I went on with my life." And she used that negative experience from someone who's completely ignorant and made it a platform where people could give an outpouring of support and say, "You're not the only one. This happens all the time." And, she turned that very negative human interaction, which was completely offline, she took it online and made it a positive experience, which I think is a lot of the spirit of Anti-Bullying Day and Pink Shirt Day.
And I think what a lot of people miss about social media sometimes, there is a lot of good happening on social media. There is a lot of news on social media that isn't fake. There's a lot of positivity happening. Is it a little harder to find? Yeah. Do our brains crave horrible shit more than we do loving, caring shit? Yeah, we do. But you gotta source those out. I completely agree. And if you're being bullied by someone too, the best thing to do if you're younger is to talk to someone about it. And it doesn't have to be your parent, right? It can be an adult, a consenting adult. It could be a friend's parent.
Right.
Could be, there's a number of ways you can do it. But if you're being bullied online, first of all, there's legal implications. There's, I know again, people who are involved right now, or who have numerous people who've brought things to the police after being threatened by stuff. Right? So if it's that level, you go to the police. 1,000%. If it's more just like, it's not criminal level, but you're still feeling it, you need to talk to someone about it. Don't keep it a secret. Adult, children, doesn't matter. Don't keep it a secret. Tell someone what's going on. It doesn't have to be a parent or a brother or a sister. It can be anyone that's an adult, right? That can know maybe what to do to help. So that's what I would say in terms of the bullying side.
Well, that brings us to the way I wanted to wrap this up. Usually my pop quizzes to you are yes and no, true and false form, but this one's going to be an essay form. And this is, I'm again pulling from Bailey Parnell's TED Talk, where she gives...
I have to write an essay?
No, you have to speak the essay. And I've all confidence in you that you're going to answer this properly.
All right.
And if you don't, you lose all credibility. I'll have to find a new co-host. It's going to be a lot of work.
Wow.
So just please get this
No pressure.
right. Please. Okay? All right. So Bailey Parnell proposes in her TED Talk 4 steps to social media awareness.
Wellness.
We're going to talk about those 4. I'm going to give you the headline, and you're going to fill in and describe what that headline means. So the first step to social media awareness is recognizing the problem. How would you describe that?
Recognizing the problem. So what I just talked about if you don't have an ability to not look at Snapchat, Instagram, name your network, for like more than like for 3 to 5 to 7 days, identify the problem.
Excellent. You're 1 out of 4. You ready for the second one?
Let's do it.
Second step to social media awareness is audit your social media diet.
Audit your social media diet. So I would say, again, it's what are you looking at when you're online? Are you constantly focusing on negativity and bigotry, or are you looking for more positive things or informational things through social media? I would try and limit the negative things. I've talked to people in my family about that. Limit the amount of like news you read.
Sure.
News is sad and horrible most of the time, right? There's like one good story, but most of the time it's the most horrible stuff you've ever heard in your life, because that's what gets people going. Limit that and you'll feel happier.
Right.
I feel that. That would be my thought.
And the theme on this was the diet metaphor talks about consuming good content, like you said, and moderating what you do take in when you do take it in. And of course, you can't filter out the bad. It's going to be there, but it'll be like my cheat day. You know, I'll consume something that's probably not the best for me, but everything in moderation.
Here's another quick one. Sorry.
Yeah.
Don't just look at one side. Look at CNN and look at Fox.
Right.
Look at multiple perspectives on stuff. We need more of that in the world too. If you stay in your bubble of only one perspective, you're a limited human being, because you only have a limited amount of perspectives.
Right. All right, the third step to social media wellness is create a better online experience.
Oh, that's very vague. Create a better online experience. Well, you could share more love and sentiment with others. You could be more supportive towards people. You can try and support people when they're feeling down, or support their message of good as opposed to supporting a message of bad.
And you're absolutely right, and that dovetails into the last step to social media awareness, which is modeling good behavior. But I think this applies both online and offline as well.
Yeah, I mean, modeling good behavior. Don't be a hater. You know, we need less hate. I say that all the time with friends. I see it so much. We need less hate. There's something that we said about people being like having less ego, having less anger towards stuff, not jumping to conclusions about something before you've heard the whole story. Try to, and I don't think people can change. That's the other problem. But try to model positivity. Try to model. You know, the next time you hear something that's outrageous and you're about to hate it, maybe go, do I really hate this? Or am I playing into the narrative of hate that's being spread on social media?
Excellent takeaway. 4 out of 4.
I can still be the co-host?
For now.
Yes!
You've lived to die another day.
Wow. Well, what an honor, Yao, it is to be your co-host. That was a good, I like that. What is this next thing on the list?
Oh, I've been so fast. I wanted to spring this on you. I didn't even want you to be able to prepare for this.
I don't know anything about it.
The context of this is so, number one, is so shocking, and yet on the other hand, I don't know why we're surprised by this.
I'm probably not going to be shocked at all. I've probably already looked into getting this done on my own body, so tell me more.
All right, so I was looking at Fast Company articles, because I do like their spin.
I like that. Yeah,
on business, on tech, just their perspectives on everything.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I like what the content that they put out, and one of their reporters did it's a 15-minute segment about a company that optionally embeds a microchip in the hand of their employees. So it kind of goes in that little thin,
I've seen it.
webby portion. And so first of all, I'm terrified of needles, like absolutely horrified. I can't even handle it. So I want to give our viewers just a bit of a disclaimer that I want to show this process for being microchipped, and that the reporter handles it very well, like like it's nothing. But I did throw up in my mouth a little bit when I watched it. But
so if you're squirmy, don't watch or listen to the following thing, or you may
throw up in your mouth.
Yeah, sorry, someone just popped in and said they need to. Why don't we, while we're showing this video, why don't you go check why they need you?
All right.
In the hallway? Yeah?
Sounds good.
Okay.
To implant the microchips. I was slightly nervous about having the microchip inserted inside my body, given the size of the needle, and also nervous about what it could potentially mean for me, but here we go.
I want you to take a nice big deep breath in and exhale really slow. And there we go.
It's in there.
It's in there. Pretty quick and easy.
I feel like a cyborg.
Here you go, you're a proud member now.
Indeed, part of the club. Just like that, I was part of a small group of people on Earth pushing the boundaries of what it means to be human. And within minutes, I was meeting with their tech team to get...
Yeah, so, I mean, full transparency, I almost ordered the kit
Stop. You did not.
to do it yourself, yeah.
Stop.
I mean, there's an underground movement of people that
Oh my
know how to do this, and it's really quick. It's, in my opinion, it's kind of cool. But I'll let
This
you
is my
take
face
it
drag.
from-
Like,
Oh yeah, no, I'll let you go first, and then I'll give my thoughts on it. You can probably guess what I'm gonna say, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can see what virtues there may be of that. And I think the reporter was speaking, hyperbolically when he was saying that it makes him superhuman. Because really it just gives him access. And in my opinion, I see this little implanted chip as basically a glorified access card. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just, or maybe a glorified cell phone it just goes from being on your wrist to under your skin. I don't see the need for it to be in your skin. What possible reason would you want to have it under your skin? Why can't you embed it on, you have those, all the girls out there, you're going to know this, when you have those blister blockers because you're wearing fabulous shoes, but they're giving you a blister. And those blister blockers, you wear them if you want to wear them for a couple days, it protects your skin, it doesn't come off. Why? On God's green earth would you embed it in your skin instead of fixing it externally?
first of all, there's too many colors of people to have that many skin blockers or whatever you just said. Second of all, how many access cards do you need to access 30 different buildings?
Why?
You need 30 different access cards. How many under your skin little microchips do you need to open 30 buildings? One microchip.
Why can't that microchip be external though? Why implant it?
Why? Because you don't have to remember it. It's just a part of your body. And then you can reprogram it to do other stuff. Right now they're just scratching the surface because it's just like a Bluetooth NFC type technology. It'll get to the point where you will be able to do more stuff with it. If I was able to go home to my place and just brush my hand in front of the door and it opened my door and then I go into my elevator and it scans me up to I would do it in a heartbeat.
And that video does show that these chips that this company's using, you can program it to do things like calling somebody else. And I didn't see, they didn't show the process of it, but it appears that you basically can talk to your chip and say, call Jordan at home.
Okay, well, I haven't seen that. That's cool.
Yeah. So it was cool. Again, it's invasively, in my opinion, invasively cool. But I mean, let's talk first about the safety aspect of it, because I know you had a very passionate take on, the Teflon issues and what, the health risks there were and the bloodborne problems that were passing along to children and how prevalent that C8 substance is in our blood. I mean, doesn't having that perspective in the Teflon matters, doesn't that resonate to you a bit with this embedded chip?
Not really. I feel like it's really a futurist view, right? It's I bet you when they first said, "Oh, we can replace people's knees," people were like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa! Why are we replacing people's knees with technology?" And people were all adverse to it. And there was other people that were like, "Give me a new knee. This knee sucks, and give me the robot knee." You know what I mean? So for me, it's if it has to do with efficiency, and it has to do with making life better, I'm all for it. And in my opinion, that technology, at some point, we're not far away. I think it'll be able to do other stuff. I think it'll be able to either record your memories or something like that, right? The really futurist talk is it saves your memories. You can take the chip out, put it into a new body, and then basically you've got your hard drive. All you need is the hard drive. The body, the meat vessel we have that just carries around
the meat vessel.
The meat vessel we have that just carries around this thing that's making us think. If we have everything saved like a hard drive, we could put that hard drive potentially into any other meat vessel, and we could change our meat vessel anytime we wanted. And I just like saying the word meat vessel.
I know. I can't even look at you.
No, I don't think there's a ton of ethical issues. When you get into changing DNA of people, that's when I think you have ethical issues, and they're starting to do that. They're trying to ban it in other countries. They're trying to. But if I said to you that I could remove the gene in you that makes you addicted to drugs and alcohol, you still might get addicted to drugs and alcohol, but you're not as likely to become addicted to drugs and alcohol. Who wouldn't do that? Mm-hmm. That, I think, is more the ethical issue that in terms of science and technology. I think this kind of stuff's like, it's like if someone would rather stick it in their hand than put it in their wallet, that's up to them.
And what about, let's talk about the assertion in this video that I know that I didn't give you the benefit of, where they talk the reporter specifically asked, is this chip unhackable, in the context of privacy issues? And I know the answer of what was said in the video, but what's your perspective and your take on this? Can still be hacked, there still can be privacy leaks, despite the fact that it's embedded in your hand. What's your take on that?
There's theories that you can hack into multiple different health devices, including pacemakers. And they've actually raised that as an issue in Congress, I'm pretty sure, with people that are in Congress, presidents, that kind of stuff, as a worry that hackers may be able to hack in. I don't know what you'd be able to do if you hacked into it. I guess you'd be able to take the data from it. I don't think you could affect the person's life, though. Maybe you could make it malfunction in a way that it leaks something. I don't know if there's acid in it, or what I mean, but maybe it could fall apart and then you'd have to get all the little pieces out. I don't think there'd be a ton of risk of hacking that.
What about even just good old fashioned, old school, just someone knows that you're the president of a tech company, and sees you have a chip in your hand and says, I'm going to cut you. Cuts open your chip, takes to an ATM, and just withdraws everything. I mean, that's not a concern at all, because that's basically what this chip proposes to do, is that because it's so intimately tied to you by virtue of being embedded in your hand, that you would be able to, and in this video, for instance, she paid for food just by beep.
Yeah.
That was it.
Just
no
like you
questions
do with your
asked. Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, any thoughts about, the fact that...
Could you murder someone and take their chip and use it? Probably, but you can murder someone and take their debit and Visa card and do the same thing. What's the difference? It's like, why do we have cords? That's my big thing. No, there's people working on ways to use, same thing they use for radar, to pass power through, anyways, I think there's bigger issues than putting chips in our bodies. I'd do it in a heartbeat. I probably will do it. I might even do it soon, just to show you what it's like, and program it to
Is
do
that a
cool
promise
stuff.
for Technicality podcast?
Maybe we'll do a
future?
live stream of you putting the chip into my hand.
I'm not doing that. Let's not make any representations.
Maybe Zane will have to step in for that one, but I think it's cool. I really think it's cool. Hacking it, I'd be more worried about my Tesla, or I don't have a Tesla. I want a Tesla. If Tesla wants to sponsor this episode and give us free Teslas, which they never will. But
Yes, Tesla, please contact us.
Even though Zane hates Teslas, but Zane's kind of a little out of it. No, I'm more worried about Tesla. I'm more worried about my insulin pump. Again, I don't have one, but if I did and it's controlled by a computer, you could hack that way easily, or inject me with a bunch of insulin and kill me, or stop my pacemaker, which they've done tests and been able to do. They've actually been able to do that. And there are people who have been in cars that have just mysteriously crashed those cars, potentially because they were hacked, whether it be by the government or private entities. But I mean, I think it's fair to be worried. I talk to people, again, bang the table. I talk to people all the time and they say, I would never get in an autonomous car. And yet the autonomous car is 1,000% safer than any human being ever could be, because it literally has cameras all around it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But people will still say, like, I don't trust that. Like,
Well-
as one who's been in one
Yeah.
and put it in autonomous mode and trusted it, because, like, I trust it more than my ability to stop things. It's the same thing with AI. I think people are getting a little concerned about it all, and they should just be like, we should try to embrace technology more than suppress it.
As a proponent of Stone Age technologies,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to direct your memory and attention to the text I sent you this morning about parallel parking, that beast of a rental car that I have right
Oh,
now.
yeah.
And I'll tell you, there was a victory in that, because my human brain that's used to driving my, standard size 4-door car, I parallel parked in one try. I challenge any autonomously driving car to park as well as I did this morning.
2 questions.
Yeah.
1, does it have a backup camera?
I didn't use it. And I'll tell you why.
That wasn't the question.
I'll tell you why. It does, but I didn't use it because it's dirty,
Okay.
because it's so snowy. It's filthy dirty. You
It
can't
was
see
dirty.
a thing at it. Yeah,
Number
you can't
2,
see a
does it
thing.
have sensors that go beep, 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 beep?
Yeah, but again, I didn't use it.
Oh, you didn't use them. Okay. Well,
Because it's useless. No, I'll tell you, those
Okay, yeah.
mechanisms are useless.
Would you
Because
not have
for
used
how
the
small
free parallel parking
for
thing
how
too?
small that parking spot was, it's going to beep anyway, regardless of whether you're doing it perfectly or executing it.
so
like,
for future reference, I'm
Yeah.
kind of a Pixar it didn't happen guy. So I need pics next time. I need to see the distance of the bumpers, yeah. And then I need a secondary photo showing the distance to the curb, which is super important, by the way.
fact that you don't trust me at all. That's concerning.
Pixar it didn't happen is an age-old saying,
Yeah, but you know what, though?
Especially on the internet.
Yeah, but you know what, though? I feel like if I took a picture, you would accuse me then of doctoring it somehow. I think you would.
Did I send you the picture of the tire factory I was in yesterday?
No, you sure didn't.
I've never seen that many tires in my entire life. I didn't even know people owned that many tires or sold them or bought 100,000 square foot facilities to house all the tires that they sell.
I wish I could believe you on that, but someone told me that.
I have a
don't see
picture if
them.
you want to see it.
Oh, now you have a photo of it. How convenient.
That's what I was leading to.
Convenient. Well,
What is this devil horn stuff that I'm seeing? I'm
Well-
confused by this. Oh, sorry, I jumped the gun.
no, that's okay.
Oh, okay, let's
I'm glad you
get into it.
took a look at that, because despite the fact that I'm still stuck in the Stone
Mm-hmm.
Age, that I am a technology lawyer, so I should be more forward thinking and accepting. So I see a business opportunity here, and if you're a trademark lawyer out there trying to steal my idea, I got you. I'm watching you. This came
Ooh.
from me first.
That was a yow threat.
Yeah.
Don't mess around with the yow.
Exactly. And this is documented with you and
Right,
Zane,
it's
both
on
of
the
my
internet now,
witnesses.
wow.
Yeah.
Don't
No,
drag
you're
us
my
into
you're
it.
my witnesses. That so there's been a lot, and various countries have different trademark laws and different requirements to register a trademark. And typically most commercial countries will agree that a trademark is anything that that helps a consumer identify the source of goods or services. So it'll be names, logos, slogans, jingles, music, color, packaging, all those kinds of things. Now, where the countries will disagree are on whether a hand gesture, can be trademarked. So that's where I'm going into the example in the U.S. where Gene Simmons wanted to trademark his devil horn. Yep, and
Is that his thing?
well, that's the thing, is he abandoned that trademark application, so we will never know if.
Is he still alive?
I think so.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I don't follow his career.
Well,
is he on
that's-
Twitter? I don't think
Well,
so.
this is leading up to the
Oh,
microchipping.
Sorry, I thought of the other Simmons. The workout one.
No. Doing devil
I
horns?
was like, why was he doing devil
Doing
horns?
devil horns?
He was like doing like the like.
Maybe
Anyway,
that
sorry.
gesture should be, folks.
Yeah.
Let's focus in on.
Can I quickly?
Yeah.
I've heard that not only is Carlton from Fresh Prince of Bel Air, but also the what's his name? He's the backpack kid who does the floss.
The flosser?
I don't even try. People try to do it, and I'm like, I don't even want to go there. But they're suing Fortnite because Fortnite's making that
Yes.
and Fortnite stole their dances and uses it in the game, so it's technically a motion, right?
Yeah.
They're suing them pretty chunky amounts of money.
Well, if I
Because they
had to-
coined those dances and they own those dances.
Right. If I was to pick a side on who could be my client on just a who's gonna win aspect, I'm gonna go with Fortnite. I would. Wow. And based on the fact that gestures alone. Now,
What if it's called the Carlton, the dance?
well, see, that's different.
It is,
the
though.
word,
Yeah.
the Carlton, is a different trademark than a gesture, than a logo. Then if he was
Does
to
Fortnite
sing
have to use the
it-
name?
Did they use the name? I don't think they did.
They used, like, they called it, like, the fresh or so. Like, it was something like it was, I even was like, what lawyer at Fortnite was like, oh, sue us, you know? Like, we'll give them $2 million, we're making $400 a month.
If it's, here's the thing, is if they're using it in parody, and parody is a very clear, you know,
Could be in
exception
parody.
to intellectual property rules.
Yeah.
Because what's the point of parody? Parody is a commentary on somebody else's existing
Sure.
thing. So people know that, well, that song isn't actually Weird Al Yankovic singing about, you know, being fat. That song was originally Michael Jackson's I'm
Yeah.
Bad.
It's largely how comedians get out of defamation lawsuits.
There you go. Right. So that would be my commentary on
What
that.
about if it's a cartoon? Does that also play into it? So
Cartoon.
it's like not real. It's not like someone stole it. It's like a cartoon. Fortnite's a it's a,
Yeah, like a video
video
game.
game. So it's
Yeah.
a cartoon. So they're a cartoon doing it. Is that different?
No,
They're still technically copying even if it's in a digital format.
But it's a gesture. That's my point. Gestures are, for whatever reason, not treated as identifying goods and services. However, if there was a drawing of it, then it's different because it's a graphical depiction of it without the motions. Because let's
Video
also
game is a drawing.
let's all put it in this perspective, okay? When I prepare trademark applications for people and I say this is the logo we want, and if my clients say this is the color, the font, everything, if they have a different variation of that logo that I've submitted in their trademark application, and the trademark office is going to want a photograph of you using that logo on your goods and services. If the logo on that product does not exactly match the trademark application, going to be rejected right then and there. And so the gesture, let's think about this. A gesture must be an exact depiction of whatever you're doing every single time, and it has to be in association with, and arguably maybe it's in association with celebrity entertainment services, which is, a class of services that when I do, celebrity endorsements and, sports athletes related things, we put them in the class of, entertainment services, celebrity endorsements, all those kinds of things. But gestures, by and large, are it's pushing the limits of most trademark offices. And even in the UK, there was a football player, and as for those who know European football, that's not like throwing the oval-shaped brown ball with the white stripes. It's soccer. Okay, so one of the players wanted to register his gesture, his celebration gesture of the little, I think it's a little heart, like that if you guys can see it. It was, what's that player's name? Gareth Bale. He wanted to register that gesture as a trademark. And again, can't be done because it's a gesture. However, if he had a drawing of his gesture that he's putting on goods or associating with services, that's different. So the gesture itself is not entitled to registered trademarks, but a drawing of the hand motion or the devil horns, if you put it on goods and services, then it would be entitled to registration protection, which leads me back to the microchip. As much as, I took this full circle the long way. Yeah, the really long way. But as much as it revolts me to think about, you having a microchip and just sitting across from me with like machinery beeping away and making
someday
calls and
I'll just be like, hey Al,
Yeah.
and it'll look like I'm sad, but I'm actually talking to you through my hand phone, my iPhone.
You and your words.
My iPhone.
You're giving me a lot
Sorry,
to
okay.
register now.
How does it tie back to the chip?
Because of the fact that people would be making this kind of a motion every time they are using that particular product, and if if the company that produces these kind of chips wanted to again, push the limits on trademark law, I would be interested in taking on that pursuit if they said, okay, we're marketing this gesture, the beep, just basically flipping the back of your hand to any, I guess, receiver or transmitter type of device. I would be interested to see what push they would make to try and get that gesture protected or some kind of creative variation of that gesture.
See, and my theory is dance is a creative expression, and therefore it should be a trademarkable thing. It's the same as art. If you can trademark visuals and drawings and art, you should be able to trademark creative thinking in terms of design. But the moral of the story...
I don't disagree. Yeah, I don't disagree with you.
Right. The moral of the story, though, is draw it.
Draw it, yes.
Draw
exactly
it. If you
right.
have a viral success hit dance, draw that shit.
Draw it and put it on stuff.
And
sell
just
that stuff.
Slap it on a...
Bottle it, sell it, market it.
Bottle it?
Well, or package it however you want.
Bottle it?
Why am I the ridiculous one? You're
All
the one that
right,
wants to
yeah,
put
let's
machines
wrap.
under your skin. Wow.
We got to get back to work here. Thank you guys for watching. This has been a fun episode.
Excellent episode.
I hope that people are enjoying the episodes. Again, if you are enjoying them, please hit subscribe. It means the world to us to have people actually give a shit what we're saying and care enough to give us that subscription and that subscribe. So throw us a subscribe. Hit that like button if you like what we talked about today. If you have ideas for topics, throw them in the comments. We love hearing ideas for topics.
And again, I love hearing when you think I'm wrong or
Me
when
too.
you think Jordan's wrong.
Same here.
Let us know.
It's humbling.
If you disagree, let us know.
Yeah.
We'll talk. We'll chat.
Let us know in the comments below.
All right. Bye, guys.